welcome to China Dreamers, where we help you dream further and travel farther. I want to give you a quick introduction of who I am before we get into the meat and bones of this video, which is why I think more people should teach in China. First and foremost, I've been an ESL teacher for about 6 years, and 2 of those years I spent in Korea and 4 in China. And I've really enjoyed my experience being an expat and living and working abroad, and I'd like to share my perspectives with you, which I hope will be helpful throughout this program and throughout the shows that I hope to produce here. So why am I doing this? Well, the first reason is that I notice that when a lot of expats come to China, they're coming unprepared, and that really can damage their perspective of the whole trip. You know, just having that really rough first month, or sometimes they even just go home and they just, give up right away. So I want to try to help people avoid that situation, avoid the costs and the hassles of making this a lost journey. So one of the main reasons I think people should really give strong consideration to coming to China is that the Western economies have been a bit slower these days. So, for example, fewer than 50% of Americans are making more than $30,000 a year. College students are graduating into incredibly difficult circumstances. And there has even been polls lately that fewer than 65% of Americans could survive a $1,000 emergency without having to go into massive debt. And from what my experience is in recruiting teachers is that most teachers are saving somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 a year in their first year of teaching in China, and then if they stay longer and they're more seasoned, they could save even more than that. I have friends who have made a down payment on a house because of their work in China. The second reason that I think that people should really consider teaching in China in particular is that out of all of the other ESL markets in Asia, the hottest ones are Japan, Korea, China, and Vietnam is starting to pick up, Taiwan is picking up, and Singapore is picking up. Out of all those markets, I think China has the highest ceiling at this point because there is such a plethora of different kinds of side work and different kinds of industries that teachers can go into. And also, I see far more teachers getting into business and really expanding their horizons here. And, in Korea, I saw far more people just remaining as teachers. So, for example, in my draft class, which I think was an exceptional one, we had one guy become the head of a foreign affairs department. We had another guy become a teacher observer, going to lots of public school classrooms, observing classes, giving feedback. We've had someone else become a university professor. So our initial group ended up really getting into a lot of different industries, and I even got into recruitment, right? So I think that there is a lot more opportunity to segue into different kinds of careers and different kinds of businesses in China than there are in most of the other countries. Now, there are some exceptions. I think that Thailand offers some interesting choices in terms of doing businesses like importing and exporting and things like that. And of course, the cheaper the markets, the better it is for that kind of business. But in terms of staying in education or branching off into things like marketing, China has a really, really good economy for that right now. And I would strongly suggest if you're interested in those kinds of fields, or if you're interested in moving on from just doing ESL into other things, that China has that. And even people who are remaining in education, they have a lot more ability to do things like private lessons than, say, they do in Korea or Japan. Now, this is still, a gray area in China as well, but almost all the teachers I know in some capacity do side work or private lessons. And so if you want to maybe double your salary, then you can do that in China through doing side work. Which I don't think is as possible in Korea or Japan. Though it is possible, so I won't say that you can't, but it's definitely easier in China right now. The third reason I think that people should consider China is the travel opportunities. So the other hot markets, Japan and Korea, are considerably smaller in terms of their actual landmass. So, for example, Korea is only the size of Indiana. It only takes about a 6-hour bus ride to go from Seoul to Busan, one side of the country to the other side of the country. And granted, there's a lot of beauty in Korea. You can go to places like Jeju-do, they have gorgeous mountainsides, they have gorgeous countryside. So there are lots of things to experience and see in Korea. I would never denigrate that, and I had a wonderful time while I was there. And Japan is just historically so fascinating. There's so many things to see, great food, lots of things to experience. So I would never denigrate these other countries. But China is about the size of the United States. And if you're looking for variety and you're looking for cheaper adventures, then I would say China offers a lot more of that. You can go to whitewater rafting spots for like $80 for 2 people to go down and whitewater raft. You can go to Harbin and see the world's largest snow festival. You can go to the Silk Road and ride camels in the desert. You can go near Shanghai and there's a submerged village that you can scuba dive through. There are just so many incredible things to do and see in China, and you really can't do it all in 1 year. So there are people like me who have been here for over 4 years and I haven't seen even a quarter of the country. I've been on so many cool adventures, horseback riding through vineyards and taking boats through cave systems and all sorts of things like this. And I've done this and saved money the entire time. And then along with that, because you have so much vacation time as a public school teacher, I've gotten to go to many other countries like Malaysia and the Philippines, and I've just had an amazing time traveling with this particular job. Reason number 4 is a really big one. So one of the reasons I came to China was that I felt the market in Korea was becoming a bit saturated. And by saturated, I mean that if you want to go to a city like Seoul or Busan, you still can, but if you quit that job, or if you are fired from that job, your school will have about 10 applications on their desk the very next day. And so they don't have as much of a reason to really treasure your service or to value you as a teacher because they have an infinite supply. And in China, that's just not the case. You know, we have a country with 1.5 billion people here, and it's just impossible to have enough teachers, especially foreign teachers, to come in and service that market. And because of that, I find that in general, the treatment is a lot better because they can't really replace you so easily. Now this has largely been a positive video. I mean, this is my first video, so I really wanted to put China in a positive light for this particular video, but there are negative aspects of working in China. There are difficulties, there are lots of issues, and I will be focusing a lot on those as the weeks progress, because part of the reason I'm doing this video series is that I am a recruiter, and I want to have lots of great material to send to my teachers so that they can better prepare themselves mentally and financially to come abroad. And that's what really the goal is with this series. I really want to help the teachers that I'm servicing to have the right mindset and the right kinds of information before they come so they can enjoy the experience the most. Now, if you would like to work with me, I will put my website below. You can click on that link and apply with me. And I will be doing videos on eligibility and all sorts of other things as we go along. But I would love to work with you. But even if you don't want to work with me, even if you go through other recruiters, please feel free. Like, comment, subscribe, stick around for the information. I really will try to give you as moderate a view of China as I can. What I think happens quite often is you'll get one or the other. You'll get people who are super positive about China and they don't tell you any of the hardships. And then there are people who are super negative about China because they've only had that one bad experience and then that's colored their whole entire perspective on the country. So I want to try to give you a more moderate experience. And as I said before, I've helped hundreds of teachers come to China, and because of that, I kind of know why people fail, why people succeed, and I will pass that on to you. So please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button. So we're also going to do a question of the day, and my first question to you is, if you are a prospective ESL teacher, what's your biggest concern about coming abroad? You know, what are you worried about? Because I think that quite a few of my subscribers will already be expats. They're already kind of looking around because they might want to do year number 2, or they might be in China and they're looking for other people's perspectives about their own experiences. I've certainly looked at lots of other China vlogs and things like this just because I'm interested in what other people think. But I'm also curious about what your main concern is about coming abroad. So go ahead and put that in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Look forward to seeing you the next time. Our next video will be about the eligibility. How are you eligible to teach in China?